Hey guys, Adam Trigger here, wagertalk.com. It's week 5 in the NFL, and we're talking Texans at the Falcons. But first, give us a like, subscribe to our channel so we can continue to bring you free NFL picks all season long. Free pick here, but this is a client play for me, a 4% best bet on the Atlanta Falcons. I just think this is a good spot for the Falcons here against the Texans team that I think has gotten a tad overvalued at this point. Listen, I really like both of these teams. I've got some futures tied up in both. Took the Falcons season win total over prior to the season. Sprinkled a little bit on Texans at plus money to win their division, which after the last couple of weeks looks like it might have a chance. Wins over the Jaguars and the Steelers. But I think the pendulum has swung a little bit too far in the Texans' direction with how they've been priced in this game on the road. And in addition to how they've been priced, I did not agree with the early money toward the Texans here at all. I think Atlanta is the superior of these two teams. And I think this matchup might really expose the Texans and just does not feel like the Texans are in a good spot to have success on the road on Sunday against this Falcons team. Now, the Falcons, the last 2 weeks, I took a loss with them in London against the Jaguars. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get anything going offensively. And a big reason for that is they just couldn't run the football. And they really struggled to do that against the Lions as well. It's, sort of rendered their offense inept the last couple weeks. And even with the defense kind of hanging in there against the Jaguars, couldn't overcome a big mistake from Ritter. And they just were always second best in that game. Now, a couple things here. First, I do think they'll be able to run against the Texans. I've talked about really liking this Texans defense and what they did during the offseason. But the one thing they sort of struggle with is stopping the run. The Texans, they really sort of bolstered their pass rush in the offseason, and it's been apparent in some of their wins. But I go back to a loss I took on the Texans against the Colts, where even when Anthony Richardson left with an injury, the Colts still ran all over them and controlled that game. And that's sort of what I think the Falcons could potentially do here. At worst, the Falcons won't need to rely as much on Desmond Ritter in this matchup. And he's kind of been sort of the Achilles heel for this offense so far, the last couple of weeks in their losses. Ritter did play better in the second half against the Jaguars. So I do like the fact that he's maybe got a little bit of confidence, that and the fact that his coach decided to stick with him and not bench him, running him back out there this week. So I think all of those things play in his favor, but also just the fact that it's going to be a little bit easier to get the ball to his playmakers or to rely on the run game here, I think helps the Falcons in this matchup. Now, on the other side of the ball, CJ Stroud's been fantastic. He's like I said, back-to-back wins over the Jaguars and Steelers, moving the ball through the air. But it's going to be harder to do that against the Falcons, who have had a really good pass rush this season. And sort of hindering that further is the status of the Texans' offensive line. They're dealing with some injuries. And I just don't know that I can see Stroud going on the road, making a bunch of plays and winning this game when forced to make those plays. If he's rushed, maybe not getting the help from the run game because the Falcons are pretty good against the run as well. So for me here, it just comes down to this being just a much better matchup for the Falcons. I know people are going to reference the spot. Okay, they're coming back from London. But I don't think that matters this early in the season. This is a home game for the Falcons, one they really need to win after back-to-back losses. And the Texans, as good as they've been and as impressive as those wins over the Steelers and the Jaguars have been, I still don't know that I can make them close to a pick against the Falcons team that I just feel is the superior team here. So I jumped in with Falcons on the money line, laid the minus 120, laid the minus 125. It's a client play for me, and I just think that the Falcons on both sides of the ball have advantages here that are going to get them to the finish line in this game with a win. Again, if you like the picks, like the content, head on over to wagertalk.com. Give me a follow on Twitter at TopFlightSI and use coupon code TRIG7 for 7 days of all access for just $79. Click on the other videos on the screen for more free picks and keep cashing those tickets. this NFL season.